Welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode of the Spiritual Catalyst podcast, where we talk about all things weird and woo. I am your host, Sarah Lyons, the founder of the newearthschool.com.au, and today we have the beautiful Ramona with us to talk about trusting in the process of manifesting your dreams. Ramona is a radiant energy flow coach, Reiki master, E-RYT 500, sound healer, women's retreat facilitator, and she's a seasoned holistic wellness facilitator dedicated to empowering individuals of journeys of self-discovery and well-being. Her extensive background in yoga, meditation, energy work, sound healing, self-exploration, and mindfulness practices is the cornerstone of her transformative approach. And I can't wait to chat to you about this beautiful topic, which so many of us need in these very interesting times. Ramona, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm grateful to be here. When I saw the invitation to join the podcast, I leaned into what am I dealing with right now? And it is that process of trusting.
Yeah.
In the divine flow, in the divine timing. And one thing that I talk about with my clients a lot is the falling down and everything falling apart before it comes together. And I think that when, at least in my observation, a lot of manifesting talk, we don't highlight that part. And I think it's a kind of important to bring that awareness up. It's part of our shadow work whenever things fall apart, to make space.
So true. So true. I totally agree. This is the part, I call it the up-level chaos, when everything feels like it's falling apart, when it's really coming together. And that's where we can see a lot of people actually go, you know what, this is too hard, or it's not working.
Yeah. And that's what I mean when I say that right now, the amount of discomfort that my human body is feeling from this very intentional act of manifesting a vision is tremendously uncomfortable. I call it with my clients that they're in the cocoon. They've turned to goo, right? So the caterpillar deconstructs, and then emerges as the butterfly. But it has to go through that deconstruction in order for that magnificence to emerge.
Totally. So I'm just feeling into, like, the audience would be listening going, cool, okay, so how do I know when I'm in this cocoon, and how do I know that it is actual resistance because maybe I'm not supposed to be on that path?
Yeah, so what I find is that when you're in that state of the goo, you've made an active decision. You've said, okay, I'm intentionally moving my energy in this direction. And then all of a sudden things start to shift and move, and our footing no longer feels grounded and safe. So it really triggers that root chakra imbalance, victim mentality, sense of safety and security being really challenged. And that is always the sign when I'm talking with one of my clients that I see, like, there's fear. Fear is the demon of the root chakra. So when that fear shows up, it's that opportunity to step back and say, okay, I see you. What are you showing me? And I think that's where the trusting part becomes more accessible, is when we're able to do that shadow work, when we're able to really look at the messengers that are showing up and witness them, observe them, invite them, hold them, give them space.
Totally, because, if we've decided on a path, we want that path. So when things start to crumble, and all of those, I love how you called it the demon of the root chakra. All those demons start popping up from the root chakra. What are some tips you would give to your clients who are trying to navigate this process?
Well, the very first thing I'm always going to suggest is be still. When you can still yourself, whether it's through breath work, whether it's through meditation, If you are, attuned to some kind of energy work, giving yourself that energy work, quieting yourself, because when the physical body is having a reaction to that fight or flight, fawn, freeze, then it's really hard to hear the higher self, to hear the true path forward when we're spinning in that chaos. And that's also a sign of that root chakra imbalance, because we're up in the intellect, the third eye demon of the intellect, instead of down in the mother, which is the nurturing archetype of the root chakra. And so mothering yourself, nurturing yourself. I do a lot of restorative yoga practices where it's like really getting into a posture and opening up the body in such a way that it allows the energy lines in the body to move with that breath, with that prana that's entering through the stillness. Yeah. So being still, being in the moment is always my number one tool. Is, are you able to be still? And then secondarily, I would say journal, get it out of your head. Yeah. Like, allow yourself to express everything that needs to be expressed. And I really love the brain dump, walk away, come back and observe. Okay, is there anything in here that is fact or real, or is this just an emotional reaction that needs to be honored so that it can shift? So a lot of my guidance is to get it out, give it life, because that putting it on that paper, all of a sudden it's not just rolling around in the mind. It has form.
Yes, I agree with that. And I've had resistance to journaling for many years, but at the same time, I will now go to that space when I'm very in my head and I know there is either resistance or something I just need to find the awareness for. And it so helps. It really does.
Very much.
Trusting in the process of manifesting your dreams. I mean, this is one of the core human struggles, really, isn't it? And, we've spoken about that, that crumbling that happens before the dreams come to us. A big part of this is the patience. So I was just wondering if you would like to speak to that for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I've been using this phrase over the last week in my own processing of my own journey is, don't put the cart in front of the horse. So oftentimes when we can see the vision, it's so clear and it's so tactile, and we're like, I'm there, and I really sense it, and I'm really connected to it because I'm doing that visualization practice, and I'm doing all the things that are affirming that this vision is accessible. And then maybe the ego starts going, okay, no, it needs to happen tomorrow. Instead of what's the next right step. And that's the statement that I've been offering myself over the last few weeks through this process I've been going through in my own life. And it never fails. I always end up attracting a client that is in the exact same space at that moment. And so it's just my opportunity to keep sharing the message and staying connected to that message as I'm embodying it. And I think that that's also a part of this that I wanted to share, is that the healers also still are doing healing, right? Like, just because we're in a position of holding space for another doesn't mean that we don't have our own layers that are going to show up. And so to be the best representation of that in authenticity is to say, look, I'm human, I'm doing the same thing you're doing, and sharing that same journey that we're all walking each other home. But that patience is necessary. And so this whole, like, I just kept seeing this image of, okay, you got that cart in front of the horse. Like, you need to reset and pull yourself back and ask that question. What is the next right step? And when I started asking that question over the last week, then things started to form. So so now I have some things that are in the distance. I know that they're all kind of planned and things are ready to go. And now it's, what do I need to do next that's going to take me there?
Totally.
And so setting yourself up with intentional movements, intentional actions forward. So what I've done is I've pulled together the team of people that I was like, I need to put myself into my zone of genius and let go of these things. So so I manifested a group of people to come around me in the past week, just like that. Once I finally shifted.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I feel more supported, and I'm able to let go of some things that my brain was going, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that, living in the question. That's something I've been doing every morning for some time now. And this very same words. What's the next right step for me? And knowing that that's going to lead me towards my highest path, because the energy behind it is clean. It's of high service.
Yeah.
To the mission too. You know, when you're so deeply grounded in your mission, the blessings naturally come as well. So when you ask questions like that, it really does activate something, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And then we just have to keep bringing ourselves back to the energetic practice of visualization, of holding the vision. You know, the first teacher that I really leaned into with intention setting was Wayne Dyer, and it was see yourself at the end. And so that concept of see yourself at the end is something I really lean into in my own journey, and what I really encourage of my clients to continue to hold the vision and trust the outcome, and to also recognize that when the lower vibration archetypes show up, that's not a bad thing. You know, those shadow aspects of ourselves, the demons, the lower archetypes, the imbalance, it's necessary. We are constantly in a state of shifting into active and inactive energies. It's when we get too tied to one energy or the other that we start to really be out of balance. And so honoring the yin and yang of it all, I think, is really important.
I love that. So beautiful. I love it. I call it, riding the ebbs and flows of life. And when I'm in the flow, it's beautiful. And I know it's beautiful. I know also it's not going to last forever. So when I'm in the ebb, I can also ride the ebb, knowing that too won't last forever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And pay attention. Like, there's signs all around. Like, even when we're feeling like everything's coming apart and we're trying to find that next right step, pay attention to the things that you already organically know as to be signs. I mean, for me, it's animals. Like, I all of a sudden, a couple of weeks ago, was walking off of a ship on a cruise, and a ray jumped out of the water, and my husband didn't see it, but I did. I mean, like, so like, those are really like, here you go, here's your sign.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh.
So be seeking the signs. Yeah.
So Ramona, I'd love to just ask you one more question, and that is, going back, let's say 20 years, what would you have told yourself back then, when it comes to manifesting your dreams? What would be a piece of advice, the best piece of advice you could have given that younger version of you?
Continue to have faith.
Yeah.
I think that is that disconnect sometimes when we get too into our humanness and forget that we're equally spirit. So leaning into the divine and trusting in that. And I've been in holistic wellness for 20 years. So 20 years ago, I started my business, and I couldn't have imagined where I am today then.
Wow. That's beautiful.
So to see the evolution of that is pretty amazing.
Yeah. There is a lot to be said for blind faith, I tell you, because you've got nothing to lose.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, darling. And for those who are listening who would love to take this journey further, and be supported with their manifesting, where can we find you?
You can find me at authenticlifejourney.com. That's my website. I also offer a women's group on Facebook called Radiant Heart Wise Women. And I'm preparing a pretty amazing program that is going to be working with this exact subject of the shadows and being able to dive into them and explore them and then have the tools to process.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
So yeah, pretty amazing journey. And I'm grateful that I have that tool in my toolbox, because the me before I had these tools thought I was just depressed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so there was a long time of medication and this and that. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait a second. I'm just a highly empathetic person.
Yes.
That has a lot of deep feels, and they vacillate, and it's okay.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your beautiful wisdom with us. And I'll make sure that we pop those links in the episode details below the show. And thank you to our beautiful listeners for coming on and listening in. And if you enjoyed the episode, please consider leaving us a review and following us for more Spiritual Catalyst episodes in the future. Until next time, bye.